Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome everybody to the show. I just announced on Thanksgiving Day, that we, the Warrior Instructor Academy, Betsy, who's my guest today, and I just released a cookbook. It's called Root Down, Rise Up, and I'm so excited to have Betsy Tanenbaum here with me today on the show. Hi, Betsy.
Hi, Ellen.
If you happen to be watching, she has the cutest little backdrop kitchen behind her. It's so sweet. The twinkle lights, the knives, the wine. I love it. Betsy, before we dive into the fun part of the show and talk about food and how we feel about food and this cookbook and nutrition, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Wisconsin. I was born in sort of an area outside of Milwaukee, and did my undergrad at University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. And after undergrad, I moved out to Oregon to do my master's degree at the University of Oregon, and I just fell in love with Eugene, and I ended up, once I finished my master's, I lived in Portland for a while. My master's is in arts management, but I've kind of had some different career changes throughout the years. So I worked in Portland as a public art manager for Clackamas County for a while. And then I went back to Wisconsin for about 5 years, and I worked in a medical facility doing arts programming. And I was the director of an art gallery that was located in the medical facility. So very much, yeah, arts and healing, arts and healthcare focused for a while. And then just really missed Eugene, and kind of came back here in 2015 and was teaching full time at the University of Oregon in the arts management program. The UO eliminated that program that I went through. And so I had like a little bit of a career shift. So now I work with scientists in the Phil and Penny Knight campus for accelerating scientific impact. And I work mostly in the people part of it. So alumni engagement, student support, and I facilitate our inclusion workshops that are optional for students to take part in. But yeah, and then in my spare time, I really love spending time with my son, whose name is Eugene.
I was wondering if you were going to say that. If you weren't, I was going to throw it in there.
I always like have the disclaimer, like we were not living here when we named him Eugene. We're in Wisconsin at that point in time, and but yeah, I love spending time with him. He's 12, and just I love his sense of humor and everything. And we do a lot of hiking together, a lot of walking, and I love running. I just like being active, and of course,
That's
I love
why
cooking.
you love the Pacific Northwest. All that
Yes.
hiking and outdoor active living. That's what we do here. We try to
Yeah.
be healthy. We're kind of, I call us hippies out here. So, and I say that with like with endearment.
Totally. Yeah. I love that you can get outside and be active through the entire year,
I know.
as long as you don't mind
Mind
a little
getting wet.
rain.
Yeah, as long as you don't mind getting wet. I'm like, how am I gonna keep running the dog in the rain? But
Lots of
okay, so
towels.
what?
Lots of dog towels.
Yeah, and he has little coats, but he's a shaky, skinny dog. I mean,
Oh,
you just saw him. Did I have a coat on him? No, I didn't put a coat on him. We brought his
no, it
blanket.
was pretty nice out
Yeah,
when I saw you
yeah,
last.
it
So
was. But anyway, he and I are both kind of fair weather. That's all. We're not. I mean, I love the outdoors. I just love the outdoors when the sun is out. Okay, so tell everybody if you even remember, like, how did you and I meet, or when do you remember our lives colliding?
Um, I met you the first time at the DAC at the Downtown Athletic Club. My friend Kristen actually brought me. She was a member and brought me for the first time as a guest,
Yeah.
and so utilized that sort of guest pass, and then yeah, I started taking your classes, and then when you launched. Um, Warrior during the pandemic. I mean,
Saved our lives.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would have gone, I
Crazy.
don't know, to a dark place probably if I hadn't had that sort of community and
Totally.
workouts to look forward to. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I always loved how like inclusive you were and how welcoming the environment was
Yeah.
because before that, I would have never worked out with my screen on.
Uh, well, I remember, okay, so my recollection, I was trying to like actually pinpoint meeting you, which I couldn't do. I couldn't remember like the day. But of course, it is harder for me because I meet so many people in the setting that I meet you, like so many people
Yeah.
every single week. But I just remember that you and Kristen and Elena would come at night and I would teach Pound. Remember that? Remember when I taught Pound
I remember
for a
that. I
second?
think the first one that we went
Tribe.
to was Pio.
Oh, it was with Pio first. Oh, it was with Pio first.
Yeah, and then I did do Tribe too.
Tribe, team
Yeah.
training. Yeah. So then, yeah. But you guys, it was hard for you guys to come during the day. And I mostly taught during the day, right? Didn't you come in the evenings back in the DAC
Yeah,
days?
I feel like it was I
It was both. Who
I
knows?
can't
But
remember.
anyway, back to the pandemic part. So then, when the pandemic happened, it's true. I had this like, it was right when Warrior was starting, and you would think, and I'm sure to some degree this is very true. You would think starting a fitness company as like literally 2 months before the pandemic struck the world, you would think that that's terrible timing, and maybe it was. Like, who knows what the trajectory of my business would be if there weren't a pandemic where gyms were closing and instructors were out of work, and who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe we would be catapulted into the stratosphere. But I also sometimes wonder if the way Warrior online when the pandemic hit, because I was teaching so much virtually at that during those, well, and still it hasn't stopped. I do feel like, and we started with Warrior Rhythm, which is our most soulful program. I feel like it was actually medicine for people and therapy and mental health. And so bizarrely, I wonder if it actually added to the intensity and the rapid fire growth of the program. I'll never know. But it's just the people. There are still people with us from back then that just, it's just the most meaningful fitness they've ever done, and I think it relates to that.
Definitely. I mean, I lesson 3 is still one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
lesson three. Oh my gosh, that's the one with the
The-
your
yeah.
student.
And the music in it is just so good. That's, I think, part of it too.
Music.
Everything is so music driven. It just, yeah, the hour would fly by. I would be like, how is this over already? And
Oh,
then
thank
just
you.
spending time. I mean, I remember talking to my therapist at the time about like how just laying on the mat at the end and like putting, my hand on my heart and one on my
Yeah,
sort of
belly.
belly, like
Yeah.
just I how I would feel so at peace, and I would have sometimes joined from my back patio, remember?
Oh yeah, and your garage. Remember, you had the coolest
Oh,
garage in the
yes.
world.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
right.
it's
Um,
and that's fun too because you kind of get a little glimpse into people's lives and homes and all of
that's
that.
I mean, we're not here to talk about my programs. We're here to talk about the cookbook and cooking and
I
food.
know.
But before we get there, wait, but you're saying things that I want to talk about. I do think that that is a weird like misconception. There's a misconception, I think, about online classes. And don't get me wrong, I love in-person classes. They are just like none other. They make my heart sing, and being able to, give someone a hug and look them right dead in the eye and all that. The in-person interactions are the best. But there's something bizarrely intimate and honest and real about online connection. I don't mean like on demand watching a replay of a video. I mean
Yeah.
showing up live for a class when you feel this sense of shared, and we'll have people from other countries even on, and people from across our country. You feel this like we're sharing a moment in time together in real time. And then, like on my Thanksgiving workout, yesterday, that was yesterday. Yes, yesterday in the middle of the workout, in the middle of my virtual workout, we had like 50 people or something on. In the middle of the workout, my computer starts ringing and my phone starts ringing, and I'm using both to lead the class. And the only people that can break through when I'm that break through my do not disturb work mode, I have like double work focus, all of the blocks on so that people don't call when I'm teaching, are my kids. And they know not to call me when I'm teaching. But it was like it was like not a normal time that I teach. So all of a sudden I'm teaching, I'm in the middle of moving and queuing, and all of a sudden my computer and my phone start ringing, and it's my daughter, and I ignored it because I was in the middle but I had this weird, and I even said, I'm like, my mom heart is worried
Oh
that
my
there's this,
gosh, yeah.
like my mom heart, I can't help it. Like, what if there's an emergency? And what if she called because she needs me? But I just kept teaching, and then like 10 minutes later, she walked in delivering me a homemade pie. And then she came in and said hi to everyone, and it's just like these stuff. My dog will jump on my head, or you
Yeah.
guys, like the students, like I'm seeing stuff happening in their houses. Their husband will walk by, or like,
Yeah.
their cat will stretch on their mat, or, and it is very intimate to let people into your home and to see into their home, their living room, their garage, their back patio. It's just, there is something magical about a live online class.
Definitely. Yeah. I
Like,
remember one time I was doing Warrior and my dog dragged dog poop in from outside and ran all over my yoga mat. So I had to like turn, and you're like, where did you go? And I was
oh,
like
that
trying to clean up, and she was running around the house. And so I was trying to, I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
try to
like
call
all
people
moments
out.
of chaos
I
too.
try to call people out if I see them disappear off the screen. I'll be like, "Where'd you go? Wait, what'd you do? Where'd you go?"
Yeah.
That would have been a good confession. That little dog poop story. That would have been a good one.
That
But
would have been a good one.
okay, let's talk about food. How did you get into? So you talked about like your sort of career path a little bit,
Mhm.
and how did you get into? Have you always loved food? Have you always loved cooking? How did this become a passion of yours?
I mean, I've definitely always loved food for sure. And like um in terms of like getting into cooking, um I I have like a few kind of key sort of moments that I remember. I've always loved cooking with people too. And so one of the things I remember is when I was young, one year for Christmas, instead of having like a traditional Christmas dinner, we did all appetizers and we each got to pick something that we made. And so I think I was in middle school at the time. And so I remember like that was really kind of one of my first times getting in there and like being in charge of something. And it felt really cool. And it was such a fun, way to do a dinner. So, that's kind of a moment. And then I remember um, I had the same boyfriend for like 4 years from high school into college. And I remember I decided I had been watching cooking shows and I was like, I'm going to try cooking cheesy broccoli soup for him. And I was like digging through my parents' cabinet and it called for white wine. I think I was in high school. I was not old enough to drink, so I like had no idea what I was doing, and they didn't have any white wine. So I was like, well, there's some red, so I'll just throw that in there, not thinking. So of course, like my soup's purple. So I just like I had these moments where, I dabbled in things. And then I think the sort of biggest moments were working in restaurants. I never worked in the kitchen, but I was a server, and I did that throughout college. And you learn so much from being around like food as it goes out. I worked at a Mexican restaurant for a while, and the woman who owned that, her name was Faye. A lot of her recipes were her family recipes from Mexico, and she had like family portraits up in the restaurant. And I mean, she would tell me stories about, her tortilla soup and all of it connected so much to me. And then I also worked at a place called Perry's Cherry Diner for a while. And the owner there was Greek. So I learned, you pick stuff up from different people. And yeah, so just developed a love for it over time. And now, my dad has gotten really into cooking, and I love cooking with him too. It's like whenever I go back to Wisconsin to visit, we typically will cook together. And it's such a great experience to cook with someone, and it's a way of showing love.
It is a way of showing love. Like it is a way of, yeah, I don't like to cook by myself, but I do enjoy, well, I don't even mind doing the work by myself. I just don't want to be alone. I don't know what this is about me, but I love it if someone is in the kitchen with me. If they're just sitting on the counter having a glass of wine or sitting on a bar stool or helping. I love that process. And then I love when food is really beautifully displayed on a plate, which you're so amazing at. I think that's part of my draw to you in this project. It's, digestion actually starts in the brain. That's why when we can, look with our eyes, it starts really in our eyes and the brain. That's why we can start salivating, like when we look at something. And there's just, I think it's the right brain creative, the artist in me, that I love when food is plated in a pretty way, from colors, textures, all of that stuff. And then it is like an act of love and service. It's time, it's money, it's a gift, it's like a gift from your heart. And it is art. It's just, it feels very similar to giving someone art from my perspective.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. The plating thing, I mean, I wasn't always very good at that, obviously, from the purple soup. Um, but like I said, I've always been really into cooking shows and
Yeah.
the Food Network and stuff. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
watched like a ton of Chopped for a while. And so I remember too, like this is just a little anecdote, but um, my son used to sit at the counter while I was cooking, and we would pretend that, like, he would pretend that we're doing Chopped. So he was like one of the judges, and I was like one of the contestants, like making it. So, yeah, and they always judge plating. So that was like,
Did he judge you graciously or did he judge
oh, he's
harshly?
the sweetest person ever. He would never judge me harshly. Yeah, so it was really fun. And um
That's
yeah,
adorable.
so but it's true. I think when it's plated nicely, when it looks beautiful, you're more likely to want to dig in.
And also, you're more likely, which is something that I wanted to touch on today. And I can't talk about food and cooking without also bringing up my own food issues and my eating disorder riddled background. And there's something about food that isn't made in haste. Not fast food. Food that was made with love, whether someone made it for you or you made it for yourself or you made it for others. There's something, there was an investment of time and energy, it almost forces you, it certainly encourages you to slow down and enjoy, to breathe, to set your fork down. Like, there's something about a home-cooked meal that, and if Nicole Printon, who wrote our foreword, were on, our holistic nutrition resident warrior expert and the co-host of our Nutrition Bite segment, she would say that it helps your gut health and your digestion to just slow down and breathe and have gratitude. And I think there's something about these recipes that you put together that invite that. And then just to talk about, this audience knows it comes up periodically, and I did, oh my gosh, maybe a year and a half ago, a full episode on my eating disordered history, and it comes up every once in a while. I will touch on it. But in case you're newer to the show or don't know, and I know Betsy does know this about me, but I struggled with an eating disorder I was going to say from about age 19 to my early 20s, but I guess in some respects it never leaves who I am, although I have freedom from it today, and recovery. I'm so grateful for that, but let's see. it's such a big topic to talk about, but it is important for me to bring this up in the context of the book. I think, if you're from being someone that was bulimic and someone that was anorexic that starved themselves, and definitely I was a compulsive overeater where I couldn't possibly stop eating something once I'd started. It didn't matter how many servings I was consuming, if it was an entire bag of something or an entire box of something or an entire tray of something. I had no control over that, and I felt powerless, and it's been a journey, and I do think that eating disorder is much like addiction to drugs and alcohol. At least I believe it is. And yet it's something we can never abstain from. Like, someone that's addicted to heroin can abstain from, being around heroin.
Yeah.
But when you're addicted to food, you can't just cut it out of your life and remove it. You have to learn to manage an obsession and an addiction. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And I'm triggered by the industry that I work in, the fitness industry. I'm triggered by the obsessive diet culture, the weight loss culture, this is going to offend some people. I know it. The bodybuilding culture can trigger me. And I know some people do it. Disclaimer, I know some people do it healthily. I do know there are exceptions to what you generally see. But that level of body fat is not ideal for women or men, hormonally or in any other way, psychologically, spiritually, in my opinion. It's my podcast. I'm allowed to have an opinion about that. Yeah. So to me, I couldn't get behind a project that focused on weight loss or calories. Like, how many calories are in this recipe? This is just about whole food, clean, minimally processed. I say minimally processed because even peanut butter has been processed. Even natural peanut butter has been processed. This is just clean, whole food, and it really resonates with who I am and where I have been for years now in my recovery from eating disorder. And I'm really proud of, I'm proud of you. I'm also proud of this project. And just to be clear, this is all Betsy. This is her work. This is the work of her brain, her art, and I just get to be a small part of the vehicle and the platform because I have an audience that I think this aligns with, including those of you that listen to this show. And I feel like it makes my offering, which is amazing group fitness programs, I feel like this nutrition piece makes my offering stronger. And so I'm just so excited, and I'm super grateful.
I Yeah, I'm very grateful to be a part of it. And it was very important to me. I like to think of cooking and food as additive versus restrictive. Because everything that you put in it, whether it's the spices or herbs, like it's adding flavor, yes, but it's also there's nutrition that's being added in, and um, I've struggled with my relationship with food also. Um, you you never forget the first time you get called fat, right? And mine was in elementary school by a friend when I was wearing a swimming suit and I had just the tiniest little roll over my swimming suit. And, that sticks with you. And I mean, growing up to in the 80s with like crazy diet
Oh,
culture.
yeah, and like Kate Moss was the goals
Yeah,
before.
yeah, just ridiculous. And, you watch movies and things and you're like, oh, well, I can't eat that. And so I actually didn't know that I did have an eating disorder until just a couple of years ago. It's crazy because I didn't realize it at the time, but when I was in college, I was essentially starving myself, especially like my senior year is kind of when it peaked. And it was coupled with the fact that I had an undiagnosed gastrointestinal issue at the time. And so, like, it was just easier for me to not eat, or I would basically eat like jasmine rice, is what I was eating. And I didn't think about it. I mean, I could look at my photos from when I graduated college and see that I looked gaunt, like I did not look good. And I've always journaled. And a few years ago when sold the house with the cool garage,
Yeah.
I found all my journals from when I was growing up, from the time I was in elementary school all the way up until the present. And I was actually reading through the one that I had when I was in college. And I had written down like I need sometimes to figure out how long I can go without eating. And like it hit me, sorry, it's a little just like lacking self-compassion, And honestly, like I've struggled with body image and um I didn't realize, until only a few years ago that feeling like you have to earn your food is not, it's disordered eating.
That's right.
Like I felt like I needed to do an hour and a half workout or I didn't deserve to have lunch that day, kind of
And the
that kind of
opposite,
mindset.
feeling like you need to earn it, or feeling like now you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Same,
Yeah.
different side of the same coin.
Yeah. And for a while I just felt like such a fraud because it's taken me years to do this. And one of the classes that I taught at the UO when I was teaching was art and gender. And we talked about all of these messages that we receive about women and about our bodies. I mean, it's not just women, but about our bodies and the various ways they creep in
Hmm.
the media and in art and
Yeah.
the way even fashion, we're trying to like contort our bodies with different types of fashion. And so I'm teaching this to people, and yet I'm like also still having that mindset. So for a long time I felt like a bit of a fraud. And but then I mentioned I go to a therapist, and I've been seeing her since 2017, and that's been like the biggest gift I've ever given myself and has allowed me to work through a lot of that so that, it does, same with you. It creeps in, but for the most part, like I've I'm free from
Great.
those feelings.
Yes. Thank you for normalizing going to therapy, by the way. It's like we go to the dentist to have our teeth cleaned twice a year. Like we should be talking to someone who can objectively give us feedback on
Yeah.
issues in our lives. Thank you for like mentioning that
Yeah.
now a couple times. I just posted this morning on my Instagram. By the way, like I haven't said this very many times out loud, but I turned 50 this last year. So my body is not, I mean, what I want to say about my body is that I've never loved it more,
Mhm.
honestly. But it is not the thinnest it's ever been, and it's not the fittest it's ever been either. I used to have quads for days before some like arthritic knee from basketball injuries started to creep in over the decades. But it's if you're listening to this and it's resonating with you, and I'm gonna guess, throw a dart, it's resonating with some of you. For one, a lot of our listeners are female, and I'm not being sexist, but because it also does afflict men. I just think that's less talked about. So definitely eating disorders are an affliction that men struggle with too. I think culturally it's just less norm to talk about it. But if this is resonating with any of you listeners, I posted about this today, that it's just taken literally decades. So the freedom that I mentioned, and the freedom, Betsy and I use the same word, it wasn't an overnight thing for me. It was like this just slow shedding of the vestiges of mindset and habits and probably neural pathways. Not to mention, we live in a world where the processed food is easy, it's accessible, it's affordable, and it's highly addictive. It is a drug, and it is a drug that is poisoning us. It's poisoning our youth. It's so toxic. It's causing disease. It's why, even though we're living longer today, our health span is shorter. It's our food. It's our food. So it is an uphill battle for people when they struggle. And I know some people don't. They just don't have issues with food. But a lot of people do, to varying degrees. And I just wanted to offer this little glimmer of hope and encouragement that it really does take years and years and years and years and years. And sometimes the voices come back in, or sometimes I'll eat way past, and 2 hours after I had that meal I'm still full. So I know I overate, and I don't know why. Maybe it's stress or anxiety or whatever, but I just want to offer the hope that at 50, people, I feel healthier and more confident, honestly, than I ever have. I probably have higher body fat than I did. It's a slow thing. Like I felt like I had recovered from my eating disorder really when I started with Beachbody.
Mhm.
However, that company did have a lot of pressure. There was some pressure to be thin and fit and perfect, and to not have messy hair. I say that because that's really hard for me. Like,
Yeah.
there was pressure. That's something I don't have in the culture of warrior. Like, there's no pressure. Like, you don't need to be thin. You don't have to have. You come as you are, like all shapes, all sizes. And health looks really different. Health is not necessarily thin, believe me. I was probably my least healthiest when I was 92 pounds. So, which was well more than 50 pounds ago, away. So anyway, I every once in a while, I will see a memory of my Beachbody days, and I was thinner than I am now. And I remember thinking when those videos, that was like me on the set of P90X, I remember there was a specific picture that came up of me and what I was wearing on set for P90X. And I remember feeling like I was fat and shouldn't be on set, and and I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think that about myself now, but I'm heavier now than I was then. And it makes me sad, but it makes me happy that I've continued to grow in this journey of love and acceptance instead of self-loathing and criticism and grace. You got choked up when you started talking about being kind to yourself. It's just interesting, but
it is. And I think we tend to hold ourselves to a higher standard than we would ever hold anyone else to. Because that was always the thing, is like I would say stuff to myself that I would never say to another human being, of cruelty and just about my body. And
you
I'm
wouldn't
like,
even think it of someone else.
Yeah. And so I think like I said, it does still creep in, but I feel like there is freedom is a great word for it, because it does like open up for a shift in mindset. Like I still love to work out. I work out for my mental health because it makes me happy. It makes me feel relaxed.
Yes.
And I love having goals that are like not related to losing weight. Like I set a fitness goal for myself this summer that I wanted to be able to lift my kayak onto the top of my car by myself. Because I've always had to like find someone to help me in the parking lot or something like that. And so I started doing a lot of snatches and a lot of clean, and I was able to on the 4th of July, I was able to go kayaking with my friend Elena, and I
did it yourself.
I got my kayak up there. So
I love that you made a parallel to fitness, because that's the same way I am as well. Like if I didn't receive another physical benefit ever again from working out, I would still do it for the mental health. And also, I should say that differently too, if it didn't have any bearing on my body aesthetically, which I care. I mean, I care about my aesthetic. Of course I do. But if working out no longer ever had a physical benefit related to my physical aesthetic, I would still do it for the physical health benefits, for the Alzheimer's prevention, for the bone density, for the everything, for the decreased inflammation, therefore, less risk for any inflammatory disease. So yes. And I know you don't know this as someone who isn't an instructor, but it's part of what I teach our master trainers and we teach in our instructor trainings when we're talking about the culture of warrior and the mission and vision of our brand. It's actually in there that even though our programs, some of them have a very high metabolic demand, that it isn't about weight loss and it isn't about caloric expenditure, even though that type of conditioning, you will burn more calories, like even when you're sleeping at night, if you're doing, that type of high metabolic demand conditioning and HIIT training, like we do in combat, like we do in revolution, like we do in warrior strength, then, but that's not what I want our programs to be known for. That's not a way I want us to talk. But so in our mission and vision, we talk about being a company and being programs that are known for our support for one another and like our rebel edgy vibe. So it has nothing to do with like, hey, you know how a lot of fitness programs are out there. Like right now, we're hearing Black Friday, sorry to date the podcast, but we're hearing all this Black Friday, like lose weight, help you lose weight. Buy this app, do this workout program, before and after pictures. I mean, no, thank you. Okay, but back to the cookbook.
Yes.
That was a very important vignette, because I think I really did want to lay the groundwork of why you and I align and our worlds collided so unexpectedly. Like I never would have thought when I had you in class, and I can't even remember which time slot, whether it was the night or the day or whatever, but that our worlds would collide like this. And I don't take any kind of business partnership lightly at all. And this is something that we've been talking about for over a year. Because I did make a mental note of it last year at the January of 2025 that it was a goal this year to do this, and we even talked about launching around this time of year so that people could give this gift of health, this gift of food, this gift of love as a holiday gift before the holidays. So do you want to tell them how this came to be that we decided to do a cookbook, or do you want me to? You go?
You can start it. And
Me go?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
interject or whatever if I think of anything, but yeah.
Well, actually, I can't remember how I got the first recipe from you or why, but okay, so you'll have to remind me. But I was doing a newsletter. I have two email lists, people, by the way. I think it's a little confusing, and some people are on both, and some people are on none, and some people are on one. One of my email lists is for the entire Warrior Instructor Academy. So it's everything about the business that I run. But then here's the overlap. Then I have like a personal newsletter that's more like my local classes and a special event I'm doing here and like a podcast I liked and a playlist that I liked. And it's more just kind of like me. Here's a uh-oh, there's a squirrel. I might need to get up. Oh, pause. Don't let me lose my train of thought. I have to let Fig out. 1 second. Okay, so that was crazy. They were barking like crazy. Probably you couldn't hear it, hopefully. But anyway, okay, so I do this personal newsletter through my personal website. And by the way, I would love it if everybody subscribed to both. But anywho, the one that was somewhat to local people, but not entirely, because it was also people that took my online classes who were from all over. But somehow, Betsy will have to remind me how, she was sending me recipes religiously and faithfully every Sunday night, and I would put them in a newsletter at like 1 o'clock in the morning. She'd send it at like 7 p.m. and be like, sorry it's so late. I'm like, oh no, it's fine, it's late, I haven't even started yet. So I would send it in a newsletter every single Monday, and I just thought it was this awesome, like, incredible value add. I actually thought it was the most valuable part of my newsletter. Eventually, I thought it was like the most valuable part of my newsletter. Aww. But also, what was I going to say about that? That you religiously did it every single Sunday. I think you only like 2 times couldn't. You were like, I'm so sorry, I'm going on vacation with my family. Yeah. I was like, it's okay. We can just repeat one or not have one in it. I called this little corner of my newsletter, I called it Betsy's Recipes, because I thought that kind of had a good ring to it, Betsy's Recipes. Yeah. And I don't know, people just loved them, and that's where I was like, holy cow, this is the kind of cooking that works for me in my eating disordered past. This is we're not afraid of real food. We're not afraid of carbohydrates. We're not afraid of fat. And yet it's healthy and nourishing. And you even did it. Remember you did a dog treat? Do you remember? A healthy dog treat?
Yeah, I did my recipe because at the time I was making my dog's food. She actually had she had cancer, and I don't know, I started doing some research into things, and yeah, I figured kind of put all of these cancer fighting components, turkey tail mushroom and celery tops and stuff into my dog's food. And so, yes, I did share a dog food recipe. And I think I've shared also a couple of my homemade skincare items.
Yeah. So can you, People, can you see why I fell in love? Like, I was like, this is amazing. And she was doing it like, I was just like, wait a minute. Wait, you, this is so valuable. And there have been like 100 recipes, if not more, over the years that we did
Oh
it.
yeah.
And I was just like, wait, this is like, I'm gonna have to let the dogs in a second, but I was like, this is like, this shouldn't be free. Like, this is too much. This is a body of work and talent, and it would be like me as an artist, and I struggle with this as an artist, like giving my paintings away.
Yeah.
Like giving them away, giving them away, giving away, giving them away, giving away, giving away, like, and I think I just said to Betsy, like, let's stop. Let's stop
Yeah.
and let's compile a recipe book and let's sell it. And so we just stopped. And
Yeah.
then it was about a year ago, and then I was gonna say we started, but really she then took over. She really took the wheel with making the project that you now have access to. So, okay, you go. What was your? Do you have the same story, or am
Yeah,
I?
I mean, I think I remember when you first reached out because it was during the pandemic and um I was just posting on my Instagram some of the stuff that I was making, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, you should would you consider this?" And I was flattered. And so yeah, it was something that I just really enjoyed doing. Um, cooking is it's folk art in a way because kind of passing how like in a folk song or like a folk tale or something, like you pass it from one person to another, but when
Oh
you're,
yeah,
it changes a little bit every time, you pass
like
it.
telephone, like
Yeah,
telephone.
yeah, and you make it your own and you develop things, and so I've always loved that aspect of cooking, and so it gave me an opportunity to share something that I was very passionate about and enjoyed doing with other people.
Yeah.
So,
We should probably start to wrap up here so we don't just keep people all day long forever and ever. But do you want to talk about either or both, like the title of the book, which you did come up with and I loved, or do you want to share, like, what do you hope they get out of this? Like, what's your hope with this in people's lives? Maybe you
well,
could share. Maybe you could share that story you told me about how someone gave you feedback and it just about one of the recipes.
oh yeah, I mean that was amazing actually. Just in the sort of weekly recipe
Yeah.
newsletter, a couple times people would post photos of something they had made it, and I was like, I would get so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, people are actually trying to, they're actually making them. And during ConCon this year, I joined all the instructors for the hike up Mount Pisgah. And as we were walking, someone was telling me that they had made my marinade, one of my marinades, and loved it so much that they like made a bunch and gave it as gifts to their friends for Christmas. And I was like, I don't know, that just blows my mind and it makes me so happy. And but yeah, I think
I hold on. I so relate. Like when I see people, and they're gonna people are gonna find this funny, and but truly, like I feel that way when I see people teaching warrior rhythm in, like, you know Ohio, or
yeah,
you know Germany or India. I'm like, wait, I made that workout in my house, and I practice it with my classes, and you love it, and you're teaching it, and the people that are doing it love it. Like,
yeah,
I just totally relate. It's so beautiful and fulfilling. It's the
it is for sure. And so yeah, I hope, There is a bit of like storytelling in this cookbook. And I think when I was going through all of the recipes since between 2021, and 2024, 5, I don't know when we stopped. I can't remember when we stopped, but um, I was writing those weekly, and so I always started with like a little blurb before, and going through that, it was kind of fun to like see what was happening in my world at the time because I would mention, like it's really cold and I don't know. I had to go through
Yeah,
all of
they
those.
were almost like little journal entries.
Yes, they were like a little journal
Yes.
entry. And so a lot of them didn't make sense anymore in the cookbook, but it was fun because it gave me an opportunity to share a little bit about like how that recipe came to be. Why did I decide to make it? Why did I think to do it? And a lot of it is inspired by, my favorite food cart in town, or like, my grandma Sophie was always cooking, wonderful Slovenian cook, and so there's stories in there. So it is a little sort of glimpse into that. So I hope that people see that. I hope that they can relate to that, and mostly I hope that they take it and they change stuff.
Oh, really?
I want them to do use it as a guideline. I'm really bad at actually following recipes. Like I never follow a recipe, which can get into some trouble when you're like baking and it's very precise and calculated. But like that's part of the process. So like change it, make it your own, make it easier on yourself. Like if there's a process that I use that doesn't work for you, do something different. And yeah, I just
That's awesome.
would love to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't expect you to say that. Okay. So, okay. So we hold on because the dog needs back in after
Okay.
the squirrel patrol, and then get your confession ready because I'm coming for you.
Okay.
All right, one dog is in, so we'll see if we can make it through to the end without me having to let the other one in. Okay, so did you have a confession? I told her like 5 minutes before we came on. I'm like, I don't know if you listened to my show, but by the way, it ends in a confession.
I do have a confession. So, I don't eat a lot of meat anymore. I am mostly plant-based, and that's for gastrointestinal health, and also for environmental reasons. But when I do eat meat, like I really like the bad stuff. Like I like what I want to eat is like bologna and
Oh my gosh!
or like more I eat mortadella, which is like fancy bologna. That's why I call it fancy bologna. But like that's kind of what I tend towards like craving, like a hot dog or something. And
So,
so
oh, maybe because you're from the Midwest. See, I grew up in the Chicagoland area too, and
that's
there's like
true.
hot dogs and sports, and I
Oh
don't
my
know,
gosh. Yeah, in Wisconsin it's like brats
and cheese.
and cheese and yeah, like but actually I know we got to wrap up, but a funny story of my grandma Sophie. The first time I took my former partner to meet, like we went back to Wisconsin and I took him to meet my grandma Sophie. He ate his brat and she just would put another one on his plate and without asking him. And he was like trying to be polite. And so he just would like he ate the next one and then he ate a third one. And then she goes to put another one on his plate. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I cannot eat any more brats. And so then my grandma, who had like this real like wit about her, was like, well, you can stick it in your pocket and take it home with you.
Oh,
And so we get outside, and me and my sister both start cracking up, and we're like, "Is that a brat in your pocket?" Like we were like waiting to do like the punchline. But yeah, so totally grew up in like, some of my Slovenian relatives are actually sausage makers over in Slovenia. So maybe that's where it's just my blood.
Yeah.
But that's my confession, mortadella.
That's awesome. That was like actually like a double confession because one was the fact that you crave bologna. That was one, and the part two was with your former partner that he just kept having to eat and eat and eat.
This is very funny. That's how she rolled though.
That's cute. Okay, so we want to get this cookbook in your hot little hands, people. So we're gonna offer it's $24.99. It is digital, not a hardback. At least not at this point.
Not yet.
Who knows? Anything could happen. But we want you to have this cookbook. We're offering a $5 off for being a listener and supporter of this show. So use the code confessions, all capitals, and that'll give you $5 off, so $19.99. You can also select a little box and give it as a gift. You just need to know the person's email address, and then it will send them their gift, and then they follow the steps. So we will put the link to the cookbook in the show notes, along with just if you want to follow Betsy, that way you can tag her when you take her recipe and manipulate it because she gave you permission. And you can tag her, but actually tell them what your handle is or where they can find you if you want. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any handles?
I am on LinkedIn. I should put the book on there actually.
You should. Hello.
About it.
Well, give yourself a little grace. We just launched it yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. And then I have to actually look up my LinkedIn or my Instagram. I'm at ElizabethBetsy25.
Yes, I think I actually knew that, and we'll put it in the show notes. Facebook.
I am on Facebook. I don't use it as much as I use Instagram.
I am not on Facebook, but that's a story that they already know about. So we're not going to talk about that. I hope to be back on Facebook. Until then, you guys share this on Facebook for us, please. And thank you so much for listening to the show. By the way, I did notice we have 5-star reviews. We have a 5-star rating on the show on Spotify and Apple. And so I'm really grateful for that. Oh, I want to start reading the comments that you guys leave because I love them. And so I'm going to make a concerted effort as we approach the new year to read some of your wonderful reviews that you leave the show. So follow Betsy, get the cookbook, and may it enrich your lives. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.